So in this video I'm going to look at using DR mode in the ID-52. So for this one we're going to start in either the VFO or the memory recall mode. I'm going to press the DR key, press and hold until we see that. And what we see on here is we've got a repeater, the Withall repeater, and we can see that's on the right hand side of the from field. Got the call sign, which is GB3WL, and to transmit through that your call sign field is set to CQ, CQ, CQ. As it is at the moment with this particular one, we don't know what the repeater's connected to, but what we're going to do is use it through a hotspot, which we've seen how to program in an earlier video. So if we press the DR key just to move down, press the center key to select, and go across to repeater list, press select. You can either go press the yellow key or the center key to select that, and my hotspot is in the local group. As you can see, there are different groups in here. So in DR mode you can use it for D-star repeaters and also FM repeaters. With using the GPS feature, you can actually use a function called near repeater. So even if not in D-star repeaters, you can use your FM repeaters. You can search for the nearest ones. But for now we're just going to go into local, and I'm going to select my hotspot. Again, you can either press the yellow key or the center key, and that brings a hotspot up in the from field. So you can see in the right hand side of there we've got the call sign. So we've got G1KEAB, and protocol normally is that letter B represents the frequency. So for a repeater, if you see B, you know it's UHF. In the UK that's 430 to 440. Elsewhere it could be 440 to 450 megahertz. If I had a letter C in there, that could designate 2 meter repeater, and letter A is the 1.2 gigahertz band. However, if it's only yourself accessing it, you can use whatever letter you'd like if you're using multiple hotspots. So we're going to go up to the CQ field. So the 2 field, we have a number of options. So if we select that with the center key or the right key, the yellow key, and we can see we have a number of options here. So if we were actually operating on a repeater and we just wanted to use it locally, if we were to select local CQ, so you'll see in the 2 field on the left, you see like 3 people. So that's like suggesting a group of people locally, probably. So what we can actually see is how this is actually setting the D-star fields. So if we go menu, navigate to set if it's not already highlighted, and here again call sign, scroll to call sign, and you'll see the 4 fields there. So my will not change, it'll always have your call sign in. The UR field, CQ, 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 that is for calling through the repeater. As you can see, we got R1, which is the designation for the port. So even though this is a hotspot, to actually be received by the hotspot or repeater, you would need that completed. Because we're not going out on an internet, it's just for a local contact. there's no need to have the gateway call sign there. So you can see that's not used at the moment. And to go out, we can just hit VFO or menu to get back to the original screen. So if we were to transmit and we were on a repeater, it would just be rebroadcast locally. So the next option we have, if we go on the center key to select, we can see Gateway CQ. So when D-Star was first developed in Japan, stations would call sign route through the Icom repeater network, and you could link through onto another repeater and call through that. So if we were to go and select it, I'll select D-Star UHF repeater. I'll just happen to be highlighting the Herne Bay repeater, which is Icom UK. So you can see the call sign at the bottom is GB7IC. So if we select that one, so you see now we've got a similar icon on the left. It's saying we're going to transmit through onto Herne Bay and the call sign. So this would be routing it away from the hotspot or repeater, local repeater, through to the Herne Bay repeater. Again, we can just see what's happening to the D-Star fields. So if we press menu, set, call sign, you can see where the routing comes in now. So my call sign again stays the same. UR field, so we can see that is going through onto GB7IC, and if there were several components to the repeater there, being Icom, you can have a stack. So you have the main controller, at least one band, and if you had the other bands, they'd also be plugged into the same controller. And the B designates it's a UHF repeater, or the UHF port. So the transmission would come out on the UHF port at GB7IC. So we're transmitting through to the hotspot, G1KEAB, and it's routing it out onto the internet through the gateway section, which is G1KEAG. And if we were to transmit, it'd be best policy to say you're actually call sign routing through onto the repeater, and then anybody would know what the origin is. So if we press the menu key, that takes us back to the normal DR screen, and then we can look at the next option that we have. So the next option that we have is your call sign. If we just go into that, we can see the options that we have programmed into this radio. So your call sign was originally designed to hold call signs of regular contacted stations. However, if you're not using it in this way, you can use it to hold your favourite reflectors. If not using your call sign routing with a call sign or CCS7ID, there are a few entries that we need in here as covered in a previous video, and the CCS7 ID I'll cover in another video. So to actually go through onto the reflector, if we're connecting to a reflector, you need to have CQ, CQ, CQ. And if you look down on the bottom part of the screen here, you see what would actually go into the to field. So for the info, you'd have the letter I, and this would be in the 8th character space. So if you wasn't sure what your hotspot or repeater was connected to, you could select that, transmit, and then you'd hear back either not linked or what it's linked to. If you want to unlink from a reflector, you can just select unlink, and again the letter U is in the 8th character space. If we wanted to connect to REF1C, you'll see the reflector with the letter L at the end, which is the link command. So we can select what we want, and that's now through into the to field. So we can select from the top the reflector we want to connect to. I've got quite a few in here. You can see we've got 1 Charlie, 30, those are 2 popular ones. XLEX 678B is like a UK reflector, and you do get some Australian nets on during the morning. I've just got those in for now for the demonstration. So if we select 1 Charlie, I'll just key up the microphone. So selected 1 Charlie, I'll just key up the microphone.
Link to REF001 Charlie.
So now we've actually linked onto the reflector. We need to go back to CQ to actually work through it. At that point people will actually hear us. So again, just to see how the info command works, again select info, and actually see some information going across the bottom. So that's a station that is keyed up on 1 Charlie. Quite often people are just key up briefly. No real benefit to that unless you're call sign routing. The way the Icom network works is the system knows where the call sign last was, which repeater. So if somebody tries routing through to the call sign, the network knows where to route that transmission to, which repeater. So I'll just transmit again and get the hotspot to relay which reflector we're connected to.
Link to REF001 Charlie.
There's also the message there to tell you which reflector that's on. So I'm not going to call through, but I'd let you get the idea of how we link onto it. And if we want to unlink, again I'm just using the speaker mic off to the side.
Not linked.
There you go, you can hear that we're no longer linked. So we'll have a look at the next option now in the to field. So again, if we select it, and we can see there that we have reflector. So the older radios, the options within reflector were not as good. You could only select an REF reflector. However, on the ID-52 and probably on the 705 and 9700, which I haven't actually seen, they have improved this. So if we go across, and if we go down to link to reflector, you can actually go to direct input. So what you see below direct input is a history of what you've connected to using this. So once you go into it, you can select the type of reflector. So you can use the up and down, or again using the center key, you can select the type of reflector you want. And then again you need to move across. Again you can either go up, down. So if there's a lot to get through, you can just press and hold that and scan through. And then 79C is a UK reflector based at Icom UK. Press the center key and you can see that the graphic on the side has changed, indicating like a computer, and link to reflector. Again, if we transmit, you can see the REF 79C with the L for link.
Link to REF079 Charlie.
And again, to actually use it, we need to go back to CQ, CQ, CQ. So we can just rotate the top dial. And that will take us back to that. That will take us back to CQ, CQ, CQ. As you can see, it's still sort of like showing the reflector there. So what you will see, if we just do the menu set call sign, you'll just see we're back to that screen. So again, that would transmit out on the reflector. Now we're linked. If you wanted to go to another reflector, it does keep a history there. So you see the reflectors that we've actually selected. Just go back a screen with VFO. Again, you've got the unlink echo test and use reflector. So that's what you could see when we actually rotated the dial before. So if we just go through and select the reflector, you could select another one that we've used previously. But again, when we rotate that dial, you can see it's got the use reflector, information and echo. So the echo is just to and from the repeater. Some reflectors will give you the option to actually have an echo test from the reflector itself. So you could use, say, REF001E for echo, and that would allow you to do an echo test. But that doesn't apply to all reflectors. So the next option that we have in the to field is RX history. So again, when we were on 1 Charlie monitoring that, the call sign that came through, I noticed on the message field, was PH0DV. So if it was a station you wanted to call sign route to, if we were using repeaters, you could do that. However, with reflectors now, generally the way people use the system, there wouldn't be much point with the reflector there using the call sign. So it's pretty much redundant, this is. Again, the next field is transmit history. So you can see where we've actually gone through to different reflectors here. Repeaters, and actually linking to a repeater. It is possible to do that. Then I've also got a command programmed into my Pi Star to reboot the Pi. It'd be quite handy if if you're having any issues. And again, if we scroll down again, you can see direct input. So again, if you want to try and route to a call sign, you can put that in. Or if you want to put a different reflector in, it depends. If you're using use the reflector, if you've got quite a high number, so like for example XLX 678, to actually scroll through to 678 can take a while, whereas to actually put it in here, it can be a bit quicker using the up down keys and stepping across. Just come out of that, and again you can do a similar thing if you were call sign routing to a repeater. So yeah, generally it's not something that's used that much. Probably find so in Japan, where they sort of like design the network, it may still get used, but generally I'd say most people will connect to a reflector and just work somebody through that. The only thing is, what you need to remember, a lot of people can actually be connected to the reflectors. Sometimes you can't always get on them. Sometimes, like reflector 1 Charlie and 30 Charlie can have upwards of 800 connections, and if they max out, you won't be able to connect. So it is good practice to actually disconnect from these reflectors if you're not using them. If you're just sitting there listening and not talking to anybody, you're possibly denying somebody else access to the reflector who does actually want to use it. And I'll be doing more videos on the ID-52 and the features it has, so please stay subscribed to the channel.